What's good, y'all? Stelo from Gravity Films. And today we have another interview with none other than Joseph Octaviani from Life the Plant Way.
Yes,
Let me get you to introduce yourself.
My name is Joseph Octaviani. I'm glad you said it right. I am a father, an educator. I'm mostly known for Life the Plant Way. Kind of known for my hooping skills a little bit, but
Okay.
just kidding. But I'm mostly known for Life the Plant Way for being the healer that everybody sees on TikTok and stuff. I'm like I said, an educator. I teach people how to utilize the herbs, how to understand their bodies more, how to come back into their bodies, how to connect with nature more. That's my steez, I guess you can say.
Most definitely. So with a lot of my interviews, right, I like to ask people exactly how they grew up. Because, I think when someone is watching the interview, of course they want to get information from the interview, but they want to be able to connect with the person that they're watching. So could you give me a little background on where you grew up and how exactly you grew up?
This question is, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on this question the past couple years after my children really were born, because I'm seeing how good they got it. I'm kind of seeing just the major differences between them, and they have so much stability. I didn't have any stability. So growing up, a Puerto Rican in Tampa is kind of typical, but we grew up more so in the inner city, bouncing from house to house, apartment to apartment. And it was rough, but honestly, I made it more rough on myself than anything. I was a very hot-headed kid. I was very angry. I really had this me against the world type of energy. We grew up barely making it. We grew up, I guess you can say, poor. Dad wasn't there. It was kind of that typical story. Dad either in jail, doing drugs, drinking with other women. So I grew up a mama's boy, which ended up being great for me, because it gave me that kind of like emotional, that soft side of me. Because without that, I would have definitely self-destructed already. So growing up, I was just always into fighting. I was always into just anything self-destructive, really. So this whole life of healing and things like that is so opposite to my
Where you grew up.
Yeah, to how I grew up. I wish I could say that I'm like a healer in the long line of other healers, and we grew up meditating and all this type of shit, but in reality, no, we grew up getting evicted every single year, going to a new school every single year, hanging out on the block because I had nothing else to do, so just being the little dumb ghetto kid getting into fights. Luckily, I still had a head on my shoulders, so I was never a follower, so I never just did bad shit just to follow people. Like, I never really got into that. But with that lack of guidance, it kind of sent me down the wrong road for a long time. That was really my childhood, just bouncing around home to home, city to city in Florida, and just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing.
Most definitely. What part about your childhood made you angry the most? Was it that your dad wasn't there, or was it that, you didn't really know your place in the world yet?
Definitely the dad was probably the biggest part, if I'm being honest with you. The dad was, because without that lack of guidance, without that structure, my mom can only do so much. She has 3 kids. She's working a job, trying to maintain 3 kids. So she can only have so much guidance for me, so much wisdom for me, and not being a man, she don't really understand like what my body is going through, So I never had a father figure, so that was probably the biggest thing, like internally. I guess I can find like different things externally to piss me off or whatever, but in reality, when I look inside, for sure it was that lack of that fatherhood, and the lack of stability made me really, really not just sad, but just angry. Not being able to, I used to envy people who had that childhood friend, that childhood school, that childhood home, like, oh, I grew up with them for 20 years. I knew them for 30 years, right? And it's just me, it's like, damn, I can't even have a friend for 1 year because we getting kicked out, we getting evicted, we doing this, we doing that, right? And so that lack of stability made me kind of disconnect from the world. it made me lack empathy for the world. Because it's like, I'm only gonna know you for how long? I don't give a fuck about you like that. You know what I mean? That was my mindset as a child. And so very detrimental, very, very detrimental. So it inhibited me from building like real connections. So that lack of fatherhood, the lack of just like men in my life, paired with just me lacking compassion for people. I never even let people in when they wanted to come in, you know, because I was so used to them not being in, you know. So I feel like that would probably be the biggest contributor to all that anger. And of course my environment. People was already fighting and shooting and doing stupid shit anyway. So, you know, I became a product of my environment, really.
So how important do you think having a father in the house is to a child's mental health or a child's health, period? You know what I mean?
It can be either extremely beneficial or extremely detrimental. Because the fathers, and especially if you got some type of color on your skin, or really just if you was talking about the poor and the poor whites and the poor, you know, really if you're oppressed, you have the men have a lot of trauma to like subdue their emotions. So that alone makes you very angry. That was something that I did that made me very angry. Subdue emotions and just be this warrior figure all the time, like having to be on raw mode all the time. That's generational. So it can either be very beneficial in the sense of you have a father that's aware of that and who wants to break that cycle, or you have the one who continues that cycle. And, you know, that's where the detrimental part of fatherhood comes in. But a father can't be replaced. For a fact, a father cannot be replaced. We do such a good job in giving them this guidance to like a proper way to harness their masculine energy. Women cannot do that. They can only do that in a certain, they're masters of the feminine. Of course, they're gonna have to have masculine. Of course, you have to have that balance. But they're masters of the feminine. We are masters of the masculine.
Yeah, because I feel like it's hard to instill fear in a boy if you're, you know what I'm saying? If you're a woman, it's like,
yeah,
you can, like my mom, she used to be like, oh, if you don't do this, I'ma whoop you. I'd be like, I'm not scared of that.
At the end of the day, like, I know I can whoop you, but you're my mama, so I'm never gonna do that. But it's like,
you know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day, we're built different, quite literally, like physiologically, we are built differently. So we process things differently. We have a different hormonal system, like a different cycles, like everything is different amongst men. And so you need a man to guide you in that field. You know, it's like being a basketball player. You're not going to get a football coach to guide you in basketball. You know, go get the basketball coach. It's like being a man. Don't get a woman to guide you into being a man. Get a woman to help you on that road to becoming a man, for sure. But that guidance has to come from a man. It has to become from a man's values and I believe in roles. I believe in roles truly, not like one role is bigger or more important than the other or anything like that, but everybody has to have a role, you know? And without the man in the life, that's a whole set of roles that's not being fulfilled, that's not being taught onto that child. And so when I had my son, luckily I had a son first, not luckily, but I had a son first, a daughter second. I was able to break that curse of this toxic fatherhood, of this toxic, like aggressive style of teaching when it comes to being a father. So for me, I would say my biggest traumas for me was from my father in that line was the inability to soften up when needed. Like most men think I'm a man, so I gotta, you know, I gotta lay down the law. I gotta instill fear. I gotta do that, right? But at the same time, you have to soften. You have to recognize when to soften up, because you push them too hard, you break them. You know.
That's true.
And for me, I was always that person. Like, you screamed at me, I'm shutting down. I don't like being screamed at. Like, just talk to me. You know, and that's why we talked about like coaching is such a big thing. Like, if you don't understand how to coach that person, if you don't understand different players and how they are coached, then you're gonna destroy them. And so that was with me. Like, my father never had the awareness or took time to have that awareness to understand like, oh, he's coached differently. He can still be coached, but he's coached differently. And so for me, I was able to break that with my son through trial and error. Of course, there's sometimes where I push them a little too hard, but through trial and error, I'm aware enough to say, okay, let me make a shift, you know?
Most definitely. So before you got into natural health,
Yeah.
what did you think of it? Did you think of like, oh, essential oils you just put on your body, they don't do anything? Like I've seen like other memes,
That's
and
funny.
it's like people like putting essential oils and acting like it's doing something, but it's not doing anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's messed up.
That's messed up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
What did you think of it when you first got introduced to the idea?
You know, let's see. I never was opposed to it. So I never actually, growing up in Florida, I'm a 90s baby. And so I'm like before internet, during internet, post-internet type, you know what I mean? So I didn't have all the access to information at the palm of my hand. So I never really had a stance on natural medicine. Like I never even heard that phrase come out of anybody's mouth. I just knew that I was always so fuck the man that whatever they told me I was gonna go against anyways.
Yeah.
So when it got to me,
I don't believe them anyways.
I don't believe them anyways. I don't know anything else, but I know I don't believe you. So I'm just gonna keep doing my own shit. And so that was my stance on it. I didn't really have a stance on it, you know, until I started to grow up and I started to move out and I started to get different ailments and stuff. And this option was presented to me and I have the power of information now. I'm like, oh wait, there is an alternative way. And I just felt comfortable with it because like I said, I was always fuck the man. I was always the one going to protest. I was always the one just,
Rebellious.
I didn't like, I was rebellious. I was a revolutionary. I always considered myself a revolutionary, even as a kid. And so my stance back then, I didn't have one, but eventually it turned into, oh, I'm behind it all the way. But then when I grew up, and I started learning about kind of like my mom's family line. They're all herbalists, farmers. They live in the mountains of Puerto Rico. They're called like jibaros, which is like the country folk up there. Like that's their whole thing. And so I was already destined to get into that anyways. You know, I didn't know that as a kid because I wanted to stick to this like city ghetto kid, you know, lifestyle. But eventually when I was forced into that realm, I was like, oh wait, this shit was already natural to me. That's why I had no resistance to it when it did pop up. That's why when I did see people like Dr. Sabi and stuff like that, who I initially found, it's like, I trust this beautiful black man. He's making me feel good just off of the words that he's saying. And pause. But yeah, it's just like...
Time out.
But like, I felt so much joy with what he was saying. I'm sitting here in pain. And I'm like, he's not making me scared. Like the doctors here are making me scared. He's giving me hope. That's how I knew it was the way. Yeah. Just based off how I felt. Yeah. Like you're giving me hope. This person's giving me fear. I don't like that. Yeah. Like I'm so against that. And that's why it was so easy for me to get into this realm.
You know, let's go into this. What is your origin story that initially got you into, you know, studying natural health? And, you know, I think for a lot of people, you know, something happens with them. You know what I'm saying? They're suffering some ailment. What was it for you?
For me, it was, I remember the exact day, the exact time on when it happened. It was the day after my 18th birthday. I had just graduated, and like a month later, my birthday's in the summer, so like a month later after graduating, it was my first time smoking weed because I was like, nah, I'm gonna put it off until after school. So of course, my birthday, everybody's rolling up for me. I remember laughing so hard that I felt something pop in my body. Like that's how weak my structure was. I laughed so hard that I felt something pop. I didn't know what it was, but, and I remember because that same day, my dad called me that my grandpa had died. And so I had a lot of emotions already, and it started to feel kind of like numb. It started to feel painful. What it was a hernia had happened just from laughing too hard. Right there on my groin, right next to my manhood. And that was on my 18th birthday. But mind you, I didn't get the surgery until I was 22. And so for, 4 years? 4 years, yeah. I put it off. Something started to come out. I looked it up. Is this gonna kill me? Nah.
This is gonna kill me.
You probably gonna have to get surgery though, but it's not gonna kill you. So I'm like, all right, I ain't got insurance. I'm broke as a joke. I'm on my own, 18. I already don't trust the doctors. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna thug it out. And so going through that pain, it ended up being a cyst the size of a water bottle in my groin that was growing and growing and growing. This sack of fluid just growing and growing. And it wasn't until I was 22, and that's crazy. It wasn't until 21, 22, and I landed in the hospital because I was in so much pain that I was passing out. And the pain would come and go throughout those 4 years. They would come and go. But I knew that it was gonna go, so that I never took it that serious. You know, like, ooh, I'm having a little pain right now, it's gonna pass, boom, it passed, all right, I'm good. And it wasn't until that 4-year mark, and I'm out shopping with my wife and my brother and my little family and stuff, and I'm like, yo, I gotta go back to the car. I started sweating while I was walking, and my girl, she's very intuitive, she's very psychic, so she kind of already knew. The whole time while they were walking, I'm screaming in the car, just screaming in pain. And feeling like something was gonna burst, feeling like something was just stretching. And that's when she came back, found me like that. She rushed me to the hospital. And I passed out in the ER because of just so much pain. I just turned pale and while I was in the hospital, so I didn't know it was a cyst, obviously, till after the fact. What I knew was that it was a hernia and that I had some type of ball coming out. I didn't know it was a cyst, but I was able to live from it. And then when I got to the ER, they didn't know what it was. They're thinking it's cancerous. They're telling me it might be this, might be that, you know, putting that fear in you. And I'm laying down with my girl, and this is kind of like when everything started to shift for me. I'm laying down with my girl, and we're in this temporary kind of like room, I guess you can call it, but it's just curtains that are separating hella people waiting for an actual room. And I'm screaming from pain meds, and I had never took a medication a day in my life. The most I ever took was a vitamin C pill. I used to make that joke all the time, because that's real. I hated pills. This shit scared me. I always considered, like, I always paired pills with overdosing, just because of my childhood.
That's what you made me think about when you just said
pills, overdose. When I see medications, I'm like, ooh, hell no, I'm scared. And but I was screaming for pain meds, and that's when I knew something was really wrong, because I was so against it. And I remember the doctor walking away, and the doctor walking into the one next to us, and it's an older man. I can hear from his voice and his wife, and the guy comes in, he says, "Sorry, sir, you have cancer." And this, mind you, this is right after they're telling me, we don't know if you have cancer, we don't know if it's this, we just see a mass, whatever. And he gets told that, and his wife lets off this crazy scream, like a movie fake ass scream, like it was that loud and screeching. That shit like tensed up my body. And my then girlfriend, now wife, mother of all my kids, is right there with me, just crying and holding my hand, and we're just like crying. I'm not even saying shit. I'm 22. Like, no way, this cannot be my life. And I couldn't process it all out there. All I knew was fear in that moment. And I didn't get like the courage to start looking up natural, start looking up people like Dr. Sebi, or I didn't go to the YouTube University yet, you know, until I got in the actual hospital bed. And when I was in the hospital bed, I was there for a total of like 2.5 weeks. The first 4 days I was constipated for 4 days, because they kept feeding me pain meds, and that constipates you. And so my belly was like looking like I was pregnant. I was in extreme pain, couldn't walk, and kind of spirit kind of went into my head and was like, "Hey, drink milk, you're lactose intolerant." I heard that little voice. I'm psychic myself, so I was like, "Yo, nurse, give me some milk." Chugged some milk, went to the bathroom like a minute later. And mind you, they were giving me constipation pills and other pills for the constipation pills and this, right? And nobody can solve anything. And a little voice in my head said this: I relieved myself and like cured myself of that in a minute. And I looked at them, and in my head I was like, okay, y'all really can't heal shit. This has to be a me thing. I have to be the one to heal myself, because I'm putting all the trust in you guys, and y'all failing, and I'm just feeling more pain and more fear. And so after that, I was like, fuck this, I need to look up something. So in the next 2 weeks, it was me and my TV. I'm new to California. It was my first year in California, so I got no friends. I got barely any family. My closest family is my mom, who's like an hour or something away, but she's busy with her own kids, and so she can't come see me. My wife, then girlfriend, she was 2.5 hours away. She probably saw me twice, right? And I'm in the hospital for like 2 weeks, including on my birthday and everything, by myself, just looking up shit online. That's all I can think about. And that's when I came across like, just a bunch of random teachers online. And
which one hit you the most? Like when
Dr. Sebi was that very, very first, man, cures cancer. And I'm just like, what's this? And it's like a super old video of him talking, barely, like grainy as fuck. And, but just like, one, it's funny, people laugh when I say this, but I trust people who have Spanglish accents. Like, the more you don't speak English, the more I trust you. Like, I've always been that way, especially growing up near the Caribbean. Like, I trust you more. I feel comfortable with you.
Yeah.
The less
like
Americanized.
More raw. Like,
huh?
It's like more raw.
It's more raw.
Yeah.
You're less Americanized, so you have a different mindset on you. And so Dr. Sebi, hearing how he did this and did that, it was easy for me to believe him, and not even believe, just have this knowing, and start following what he said as much as I can do, like immediately. So when the nurses came, oh, what are you eating today? I just want fruit. Like, sure, I might have like a little potato in the afternoon or whatever the fuck, but I want fruit, like all day. Me, I already loved fruit. Fruit was literally candy to me as a kid. So when I'm hearing, oh, you can do this and fruit fast, and this fruits are gonna heal this, I'm like, what? Bet. I love fruit. What? And so I guess that would be my origin story to how my eyes opened up to all of this. Like, to open up to the possibility of healing being real, of like people being able to take health into their own hands.
Most definitely. So when did you know it was real? Of course you watched the videos, of course you studied. What solidified it being real for you? Because, out in society they say, oh, you can't heal this, like cancer is not curable, this is not curable. Like what solidified it for you?
For me, it was a couple things. The first thing was the constipation. Like something as simple as that. Me getting information in my head, or having this thought in my head, acting on it, and then feeling relief right away. I was like, okay, that healing is a thing. I can do something. Because again, back then it was just, I didn't know anything different. I didn't trust y'all, but I'm in a situation where I literally have to listen to what y'all say. Or at least that's what I thought. And until I listened to myself, and that finally brought me the relief I was looking for, that's when I was like, oh, okay, my decisions have that power to heal me. I don't have to give away that power, which is what I was doing. And so that was the first instance. That's what opened my eyes up, like, wow, this is a thing. I can do something about this. And then it wasn't until really I had a kid, because I was shooting blanks. I was barely getting it up. I was 17, 18. You're supposed to be a stallion.
That's
what? I'm barely getting it up. I'm getting embarrassed by the girls that I'm with. You know what I mean? Because there's no blood flow down there. And it wasn't until I got her pregnant, and I'm like, oh shit. And that's when I was already working on something. I already changed my diet. I already started to feel lighter on my feet. I started to feel younger than I did when I was 18, right? 4 or 5 years ago. But it wasn't until then when I was like, got her pregnant, I'm like, oh shit, this wasn't possible before, and it kind of opened up that can of worms. Then it opened up like that motivation to be that father, okay, I don't want my children to grow up with pain. I don't want them to grow up eating Fruity Loops, Jacks, whatever the fuck that I ate as a kid. That kind of started all that. So the first one was the constipation that I relieved in the hospital, and then getting my girl pregnant. Those are the two, like, wow. I really went from feeling like this to now feeling even better than I did when I was younger. And so that opened it up to everything.
Most definitely. So somebody that is dealing with the ailment and, they want to try natural healing, how did they get into it? You know, because I feel like when you tell somebody, oh, go on a fruit fast, only eat fruit for 30 days, it's like, I'm not doing that.
That's
I'm
tough.
good.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But how do you ease a person in?
That's a great question, because I don't think that's talked about enough, to be honest with you. Because it is usually like people who have this knowledge, go do that. And then the people on the back end are like, how do I go from this to that? Like, hold on, I can't do no 20-day juice fast and 30-day fruit fast, and I'm still eating KFC. I just ate KFC yesterday. And so a big part of my journey was the education. And so like a part of all of our bundles that we have, we're very known for our herbal bundles. And a part of that is education. There's ebooks in there, there's flyers in there, and there's guidance in there to teach you, to transition you slowly. It has to be a slower transition than most people think. You can't just go from eating a steak yesterday and going on a fruit fast the next day. So what I tell people when they want to transition, one, it's a slower process than you might think. You know, it's not, so I know you want to heal yourself now and you want everything now, but you can't erase 20, 30 years of bad eating in the next 30 days. You know, not just because on the physical side, sure, you can do it. On the physical side, I've seen miraculous things happen just in 30 days.
You mean like outside appearance type stuff?
On the physical, as far as like the actual healing of the organ, the elimination of the pain, this bump going away and this thing growing, right? So on the physical side, but it's more so on the emotional and the mental side. That's the toughest part. That's the thing that you need some type of ease into it. So I would say, one, go start eliminating one by one. Know what you want to eliminate. So do some research and know what is, you don't even have to do research really. After you eat something, after you drink something, feel your body. It's going to tell you, you feeling sluggish, your body don't want it. Put you to sleep, give you the itis, your body don't want it. You know, it makes you start yawning, your body don't want it. It makes you bloated, your body don't want it. Right? So just take a mental kind of like checklist on the things that make you feel how you don't want to feel. Right? And after you make that checklist, now be realistic on how you can eliminate these things. Because we know the answers. At the end of the day, we know the answers. We know when we eat this, it makes us feel like shit. We know when we eat this, it makes us constipated, right? So we already know. So make a mental checklist and start eliminating the things one by one and how comfortable you feel eliminating it. Because for me, I wanted to go plant-based as soon as I got out the hospital. But for some reason, my body, due to like parasites and just mental conditioning and habits, my body wanted chicken and fish. It was easy for me to eliminate red meats. It was easy for me to eliminate chitlins, fried this, fried that. But for some reason, I needed like chicken and salmon, chicken and some type of fish. And so I made it a mission to eliminate one at a time. So one, you have to figure out what you want to eliminate. Then two, you have to figure out what you want to replace it with. Because if you just eliminate something from your diet and you don't replace it with something, you're easily going to fall back into what you know. And so make a mental note or write it down in a journal and figure out what you want to eliminate. Start to eliminate those things and then start to substitute those things. So the easiest things are like white rice with brown rice, white rice with quinoa, white rice with another grain, right? Meat. You have these mushrooms, these types of mushrooms, these types of lentils, these types of, right? And so this is how you don't want to just get rid of your milk, go get almond milk, replace it. Or you still want to eat cereal, go throw away the Fruity Pebbles, go get some type of gluten-free, whatever, healthy little cereal that you find at the store, right? You have to not just eliminate, but actually replace these things. It's so easy. The mind is just going to go back to what it already knows. It's going to be comfortable. And so that would probably be my biggest advice for people wanting to make this switch. Do it gently, do it over time. Now, of course, if you're in pain and you're severe pain, it's like you gotta tighten up. You know, you gotta thug it out. You have to like strap your boots, put on the discipline. But you know, go at your own pace. Go at your own pace and do that elimination and substitution. That's what's gonna help you like in the long term. It's gonna help you mentally as well.
Most definitely. There's a guy that I watch. I think his Instagram is Jabez Invest. And a lot of times what he does is he go to the supermarket and he'll pick up a bag of chips. He'll say, hey, you know, I have these Lay's, right? I used to eat these Lay's when I was this weight, but now I eat these, you know, organic chips.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and I send my mom content like that just because I want to get her into, you know, thinking about changing her diet and stuff, but not really going too crazy yet, because I feel like if you just push somebody in the water, they may drown, you know?
For sure. It's intimidating too because it's so new to people. And like I said, the emotional and mental part and the habitual part is the hardest thing. This is literally what they've known every single day for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years, right? And so mentally, like you say, if you push them too much, you're gonna drown, they're gonna break. And so the right healer or the right guide is going to know that and know how to push that limit. And so on our bundles, for example, we have what's called a 21-day transition. Day 1 through 4, eliminate 1 or 2 of these things and you can eat this. Day 5 through 7, day 5 through 8, eliminate a little bit more and then substitute it with this. Right? And it brings you down this transition. And so like mentally you're not feeling like you're doing too much at once.
Yeah.
You know, so that's very important. What you're doing is that exposure. And a lot of people just don't know that there's alternatives. To be very honest with you, a lot of people don't know what's an alternative to Lay's or to Fruity Pebbles or something like that. You know, so the education piece is very, very important. So shout out to social media.
Most definitely, and I feel like the people that are able to go cold turkey already been building that mental resilience throughout their years. So if you're trying to influence a person to do what you do, but they haven't built that mental resilience, they're not going to know how to, you know, do what you're doing. So by them, you know, switching out stuff like you were saying, that's them building that mental resilience step by step, one by one.
Yeah, and in reality, if we're gonna be honest and be real about it, a lot of people just ain't tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
So they don't really want to change. They don't want to change their lifestyle. They want to change their predicament. They want to eliminate the pain, but they're not choosing to eliminate what's giving them the pain because they're not ready to, you know? So a lot of people just don't like the inconvenience. I still want to go out and party. I still want to go out and smoke. I still want to go out and drink. I still want to go out and do that. But can you help me take this away? It don't work that way because that's what's feeding it. So until you're ready to give away that, you're not ready to give away the pain. And that's why so many people are falling into this prescription model that they have because they know that. It's easier to add something into your life than it is to eliminate it. And so instead of asking people to eliminate all the shit that they're, you know, bringing them pain, they're just, hey, just add this and you can still do that. Don't worry about it. So it's a lot easier psychologically for people to just say yes to that. You know, because the route that I take and the route that I put people on, this is actual change, this is actual work. This is not just take this for this is work. There's discipline, there's consistency, right? There's gonna be ups and downs on this journey. It's not just gonna be smooth sailing, pop something and then do whatever you want.
Most definitely. So let's talk about healing. What do you think is the root of sickness?
Good question. I think about this a lot. And over the years, I'm not gonna say it's changed fundamentally, it's just kind of been expanded. And so I can break it down to a couple different things. Before I used to say it was only the gut. And that's very, very, very true to an extent. Like the gut plays an enormous part of just sickness in general. But it's also the hormones, emotionally. So emotions. A lot of people don't talk about that. The emotions that you're feeling on a day-to-day basis are going to dictate the life that you live, just as much as the food. Because the food that you're eating, it's going to dictate your palate, so it's going to dictate what you want to eat more of. It's going to dictate your gut microbiome. That's going to dictate your brain. That's going to dictate your emotions. But then also the emotions you're feeling are going to dictate the physiological functions in your body. Produce more of this, produce less of this, move blood here, move blood there, just based off of how you're feeling. And so your emotions are a huge proponent to sickness that people don't really realize. You know, they can be taking all the supplements that they want. They can be on the plant-based all they want, but they still stressed every single day. They constantly stress. They constantly in fear. They traumatize from their man, their woman, their job, their whatever, their society. And that is a huge proponent on sickness that we need to talk about more of. So I would say your gut and your emotions rule like your vitality, really.
Do you say emotions because, like, when you feel stress, that stress tells your body what chemicals to make?
Exactly. Every emotion tells your body to make to release a certain hormone or certain chemical. And that certain hormone or chemical are going to have different functions in your body. So like I said, when you're stressed, for example, your body, most people don't really understand this, but your body does not know the difference between the stress of you standing there at the grocery store thinking crazy shit of somebody's going to rob it and you're making an escape plan in your head. I say that because I used to do that. And that between like you actually being at war and getting shot at. Your body does not know the difference. It just knows it as stress. It just knows it as we need to survive. Okay, guys, what are we going to do to survive?
Create the cortisone or whatever. What
Cortisol.
Yeah, cortisol.
Adrenaline's going to be pumping. And so those hormones say, all right, guys, this is a survival situation. What do we need to survive? Do we need to be digesting food to survive? No. Right? Does blood need to go to the reproductive organs to survive? No. Right? Let's move the blood where it's needed, to the eyes, to the extremities. Shit, we strong as well. We can lift the whole car if we see our child underneath it, right?
Yeah.
That's that adrenaline and that cortisol in us. You know? So people don't realize they're in these stressful situations all the time. And those stressful situations are causing certain hormones to come out. And those hormones are causing certain things on their body, moving circulation away from their vital organs, moving away from their digestive system. So now they can't digest because they're always stressed, right? And they can't filter out toxins because they're constantly stressed, because the body don't care about filtering toxins when it's trying to run away from a bear, right? So that's why I say emotions, because emotions dictate what hormones are coming out.
Most definitely. You said it won't filter out. So are you saying that if we are stressed all the time, it has an effect on our lymphatic system and, filtering out our lymphatic system?
100%. Because, like I said, stress is, and when people think about stress, I really want people to understand what I just said. Stress isn't just, well, I'm a little stressed because it's my job. It's whatever. It's just a little stress. Or I'm a little stressed because my kid, or I'm at the gym and I'm stressing my body, right? It doesn't matter the amount of stress you think, like the level of stress you think it is at, your body, it's the same shit as if you were getting shot. It's the same thing. So like when I say stress, I quite literally mean like all the stressors that you feel on a daily basis. Whether you think it's like a little stress or a big stress, like it's all the same to the body. And your body does not care about filtering out the lymphatic system or the blood when it is stressed. Your body literally only cares about being in survival mode. So your eyesight might be heightened, your thoughts might be heightened, time probably slows down for you. You're playing ball, time slows down for you. You can on the outside, it's like it's going fast, but because your body's in this like stress situation, the adrenaline is pumping high, the game is moving slow for you. Right? And these are the things that are happening when you're stressed. Your body don't care about filtering out the lymphatic system. It doesn't care about breaking down food properly, absorbing your food properly, going to the bathroom. They don't care about that. Right? And so in that constant stress, we're leaving all of this lymphatic fluid. We're leaving the blood the way it is. Nothing is being filtered out. Now our body has to go to different ways. That's why usually it's like people are stressed, and then they have some type of sickness. They have a cold, they have a flu, they have a fever, something bad to like calm their ass down, because the body will force you. Because it's like, bro, we tried to do this, the kidneys aren't working out properly, the blood flow is not there, the stress, right? We try to do this, you're not eating fiber, you're not drinking enough water, we tried to poop, or you're just constantly stressed, so your intestines are being constricted. We try to eliminate there. We don't know what else to do. I'm gonna hit the SOS button. That's the cold, the flu, the fevers, sickness, period. That's your body just hitting the SOS button. I need help. this person that's controlling it, the spirit that's controlling it, doing a good job. So sit his ass down and eliminate how you can, no matter what hole you use. And that's really what it is.
That's crazy. So I want to talk about some specific ailments.
Yes,
So
sir.
I know when people look at this video, they be like, all right, how can I help what I'm going through right now, right? So if a guy isn't getting up, right?
Yeah.
What's the first thing, or what can they do about that? Because I know, you know, if I couldn't get up, I'd be like, hey, bro, you can go ahead and take me out.
That's how I felt for the longest time, bro. Like, what am I doing here? Like,
You can go ahead.
you know what I'm saying? That's the whole point of me being here, you know? And no, I feel you on that. So if I were to, let's say, okay, if I were to talk to my younger self, my younger self would have came up to me like, yo, what can I do? First, I would start with the education, of course. What is that area down there? It's all muscle. It's all muscle down there. It's hormones and muscle. And so when you think of muscle, in order for the muscle to be fed, it's being fed by what? What do you think?
Muscle being fed by what? Protein?
Blood.
Blood, oh yeah.
Right, oxygen in the blood,
yeah.
right? So it needs blood, it needs oxygen, right? All muscles need blood. So if there's not proper blood flow to it, you know what I mean? Ain't nothing to grow, ain't nothing to do. And so that's what I would tell them first. Like, there is a blockage of circulation there. Another thing I would tell them is, it's going to be a little weird, but if you ever go to the doctor and you get, what do they call it, like a colonoscopy or like a prostate exam, they stick their fingers in what? Right? Where the sun don't shine. Why would they do that if they're going after the prostate, if they're going after the reproductive organs?
Because they're connected.
Because they're right there.
Yeah.
They're neighbors. People don't realize that. The body is very small. If we're being real, everything that is basically keeping me alive is from here to here. I ain't got organs in my feet. I ain't got organs in my hands and my arms, right? So everything is right here connected, squished up. So a bad apple is going to ruin the bunch. So if you don't have proper blood flow there, you have to look at the organ that's touching it. That the organ that can be inflated, that can be filled up, that's the intestines. And so I would say, look at your intestinal health. Your intestinal health, based off of how inflamed it is, how much you're holding on to, is going to start pinching blood flow to that area. And so what are you eating? How are you feeling? Oh, you know what, I actually do suffer. I probably go like once a day. Oh, you know what, I probably do get bloated. Like, then people start realizing like their gut issues, right? And I just make that connection. The gut issues with the prostate, with the reproductive space. And so that's the first thing that I would tell them, is make that connection. Now, what I would help them with is I would explain to them the effects on the foods that they're currently eating and what they do to the body, right? So if you're eating a lot of fried foods, that's damaging your liver, that's damaging your colon, and colon cancer is like extremely common. And I would explain to them the connection between their foods and their internal health. Specifically the health to the intestines. So I would have them get rid of the fried foods, because that's usually a bigger proponent, is like fried foods and alcohol. That's like usually the two that destroy a man's, manhood. And then I would get them to understand what the meat is doing to the colon and how it's affecting the intestinal health. And just starting to get them to switch their diet to something that's naturally anti-inflammatory, which is the fruits and veggies, mushrooms. If you want to eat some lentils here and there, if you want to eat some garbanzos here and there, whatever, that's perfectly fine. But in reality, the plants are going to be naturally anti-inflammatory. So I would get them to understand that connection, okay? And when it comes to the herbs, then I would break down, all right, there are certain herbs. Every herb has a different action in the body. No herb is, this herb is for high blood pressure, this herb is for that. Herbs don't give a fuck about disease names. They don't know that. That's a man-made concept. Herbs, in reality, have actions in the body. They either are going to move things, they're going to soothe things, they're going to invigorate it, sedate it, irritate it, like something, right? And so I would get them to understand in order to move that blood flow, not only do you have to reduce the inflammation on the intestines and kind of basically shrink it to bring that blood flow back, now let's think of herbs that we can use to bring the blood flow intentionally. And so that's like herbs that move the blood. It's more warming herbs. It's like the cinnamon and the sarsaparilla and the, what else? The cinnamon, sarsaparilla. I like nettle leaf. It helps calm the inflammation on the prostate and the reproductive system of a man. And so I would explain to them that part. But I would start off with the education, and then education of the organs, education of their food, and then, okay, let's start switching your diet and start incorporating herbs to move blood down there.
When you think about the education of the food, right? A lot of people talk about, fruits. Why are fruits so beneficial?
I break this down a lot. Because fruits, let me see how I'm going to approach this. I'll approach this in a couple different ways, on a physical and a spiritual way. Fruits are one of the only foods that you can go out into the grocery store right now, and one of the only foods, besides veggies, that have an aura to them. You can actually see an aura. If you want to take a picture, you can see the light being emitted from them. You can see the energy being emitted from them. So just on a spiritual aspect, it's feeding your emotional, your spiritual, your energetic body. Just on that tip. On the physical tip, fruit is literally just water and some fiber. Inside the waters, you have your vitamins, your minerals, all the chemicals, all that type of stuff. But essentially what it is water and fiber. And all your digestive system needs is water and fiber.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And fruits also are considered pre-digested foods, meaning you don't need extra work in order to digest them in your body. Have you ever eaten a fruit or drank a fruit juice and felt energy almost instantly? Your eyes woke up, maybe you got a smile, right? You felt some type of jolt. Have you ever felt like that with rice or meat or bread? No, because your body, in order to get the nutrients from that, now has to do A, B, C, and D of a process in order to actually extract the nutrients and use it. The fruit, they're pre-digested, meaning they're a simple sugar that go instantly into the cells, automatically absorbed by your body, automatically put to use right away. And so when we're talking about healing the body, what we're really talking about is, one, bringing back, saving your energy. Because all the foods are either going to give you energy or take energy. They're either going to make you feel more alive or they're going to make you feel tired. Based off of feeling more alive or feeling tired is going to determine how you heal. You can't heal when you're tired. You know what I mean?
Because you're digesting.
Because your digestion, you're working, like you can't do two things at once. You can't heal and work. You can't sleep and work at the same time, right? And so the fruits almost allow your body to sleep, if that makes sense, because it gets digested in 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and you have that sustained energy for how many hours? So that whole time your body is resting and healing. And so there's so many different reasons why fruit is beneficial for the body. Those will probably be the main ones though.
Okay. How important is the lymphatic system to healing?
The lymphatic system is as important as the sink behind me and the sewer system it has to it, to this building. Because if that gets backed up, it's going to be very stinky up in here, right? It's going to be very funky up in here. And it's the same thing in the body. Your lymphatic system is, for those who don't know, it is your body's waste system. It is what removes trash, what removes broken bones, broken dead cells, broken tissue. I like to tell people, sometimes I'll tell people, it's like you have different highways in the body. You have your neurological system, which is your nerves, your electrical system. That I would compare it to the trains that you see in LA that's running just off of electricity, right? Just off of a remote. They're electrical. Then you have two separate highways. You have the blood, which is the most pristine part of the body, supposed to be the most pristine part of the body at all times. If the blood moves pH just by one, you're almost dead. You're almost just instantly dead. The lymphatic system, however, can move pHs. You know, it can be stagnated, can be moving. The blood, you stop your blood right now, you're dead. You're just gonna fall. And so the blood is the highway that has all the luxury cars. You know, the other one, the lymphatic system, that has all the junkers. You won't see the junkers driving and parking next to the luxury cars. Mm-hmm. It's not supposed to work that way, right? And so your blood is this clean, pretty system that has the nutrients and the oxygen that feeds you and brings you all this life, right? And then the lymphatic system has to be the waste. It has to be the junk that your body doesn't want. And so whenever you block up this lymphatic system, you're keeping waste in you. When you keep waste in you, it's no different than you not flushing your toilet for a week, a month, a year. What's gonna happen? It's just gonna get more corroded, more nasty, more moldy, more, right? It's the same thing with the lymphatic system. The longer you keep these toxins in you, the longer they're just gonna corrode your body and eat your body away and just break you down over time. So your lymphatic system is just as important as the blood, but it's not considered as important because of the way that we're taught in the Western medical system. How many times have you gone to a doctor and heard the lymphatic system?
Never.
I mean, during my time in the hospital, I didn't even know what it was. You know, I wasn't aware of it because it's not their understanding. It's not their approach. That's why I don't blame them. I'm a compassionate person, so I believe everybody knows what they know and they act from what they know. And the way that they're acting is from the blood. So they're going to do blood samples, blood tests, blood. It looks good, the blood is good, you're good, even though you feel like shit. But hey, your blood is good, you're good, right? For me, when I learned about the lymphatic system, it was just so easy to put two and two together.
It made sense.
It just made sense.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like shit, and it's because I have a lot of shit in me. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how can I heal? Remove the shit. Well, where does the shit go? Well, how do things leave your body?
Yeah.
It's only in a couple ways, right?
Yeah. Through your urine, through your poop, through your skin,
through your nose, through your
mouth.
eye, like all these holes that it has.
Yeah.
Prefers the bottom two, but if people don't listen, it's going to be everywhere else, right? But that the lymphatic system is the way to healing. Most people think it's the blood because it carries all the nutrients in it, you know. But really, it's the lymphatic system is the way to healing for most people. For most people who don't have like a neurological thing, because then, okay, now you got to focus on the nerve side as well. But most, like 90% of people, it's a lymphatic issue.
When you first like realized that you could heal different people and heal yourself, did you become angry at Western medicine? Because I feel like, at least, especially me, you know, I used to suffer with hives all the time. He could tell you every day. I would have a bunch of hives all over my body. Wow. I would have to get into the tub with peppermint oil, rub coconut oil on me like every day. Our apartment used to smell like coconut oil every day, coconut oil and peppermint oil every day. But oh yeah, I had to take a bath with oatmeal, a whole bunch of stuff.
Wow.
But when I started healing myself, you know, after about 3 months of doing like mainly fruit, I don't have any hives anymore. And I started to get mad. I'm like, why are y'all not telling me this? You know? So, and I'm like, I don't think y'all should have a job for real, but.
Well, I mean, I feel like everybody has that part of their journey.
Yeah.
The ones who don't grow stay mad their whole life, and it's very toxic. But the ones who grow compassion will understand this, is they know what they know. So they act from what they know. They literally cannot have a conversation like this because it's not what they know. Even if they wanted to. I'm sure they're good people. I made a video the other day like, do I believe doctors are out to get us? No. Do I believe maybe a certain few, maybe 100 people in the whole world that are out to control everything? For sure.
For sure.
There's the small elite people that we don't even know of. It ain't no Jeff Bezos and all that. I mean, they're probably weird ass people anyways, but it's like the small people we don't even know of. But in reality, it's the masses that are believing the lie. That's what harms us, is the masses that perpetuate the lie and that act out the lie. It's the soldiers that are going out to war and shooting. It's not, it's not like you can blame the rich people, blame the billionaires, blame all these billionaires, blame all this type of stuff. But in reality, it's the everyday masses that are believing this lie and then acting out upon that lie. And so when I realized this, that everybody knows what they know and they're acting from what they know, I grew a lot of compassion for them. I understood, like, okay, they're literally trained and brainwashed to think this type of way. The blood is this, disease, because the disease is a theory. So the disease theory, the germ theory, like this is what they believe. This is like, when they leave the hospital, wow, I gave that guy 10 pills that's going to help him with his heart. I feel accomplished. This is truly what they believe.
Yeah, it's part of their identity too.
It's part of their identity. So I try to stray away from it. First, of course, it was the mad, like, oh, F you, how dare you, right? But then I started to bring that compassion into it, like, you really don't know. And some of them, sadly, don't want to know. They don't care to know. They don't want to expand their awareness because they believe that that is what it is. But then there's others who open up their mind, like, hey, what did you do to heal that? Well, how'd you do that? I would love to know to help my clients out. But that's not, obviously not all of them. But yeah, I feel like everybody has that angry phase, and rightfully so, because you feel lied to, you feel cheated, you feel manipulated, and really it's you should be mad at yourself. Really, you shouldn't be mad at them because you gave away your power to them.
That's true.
They didn't go to your house and grab you by the ear and drag you into the shit and put those medicines down your. You believed in that lie and then started acting out upon that lie.
That's true.
Right? So I feel like a big part of people being angry is them being angry at themselves. It's easy to point to the doctors and shit like that. But if I was told something for 8, 12 years in medical school and whatever school that I went $1 million in debt, I'm going to repeat what they told me. You know what I'm saying? That's real to me.
Especially if it makes you feel important, if it makes you feel smart. And
exactly.
it becomes a part of your identity.
Exactly. So the identity is a big part of it. A lot of what they did was with this medical system and with like doctors, period, is they gave them this kind of God complex to where what they're doing is like godlike. They can do no wrong. They can only do good. Everything is only for the good. And so when you have that identity and you attach that to yourself, everything I recommend is the best of the best. What are you talking about? I didn't hear about those herbs in my school. That's not true, and that's kind of like the identity they have. But everybody has that anger, for sure.
Most definitely. And, I think that anger is good in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it gets you to want to learn more and stuff like that.
It motivates you, for sure. It drives you. That emotion drives you.
I feel like in 2024, there's more natural healers than ever, And I feel like, just how like the red pill thing with the relationships was the wave, I feel like natural healing is going to be the next wave. But how do we protect ourselves? Because I feel like a lot of, not natural healers are pacifists, but I don't necessarily see where we have a system where we're protecting our natural healers. And I feel like we should.
Ooh, that's okay. I like this.
And let me ask you this. Is it a sin to kill for good?
We're going down. I like this route that we're going down a lot. You talk about the pacifist thing, and I talked about being. I used to do boxing, so I have that healer, the pacifist side of me, but I also have that warrior side of me.
Yeah.
It's very important that you have both, because if you don't have both, look what happened to our ancestors. Which I don't blame them, because it's like, if you busy on being happy and dancing and praying and making beads and shit, like, what you thinking about building a weapon for? What you thinking about building an army for, right? So I understand, but now we got to a point where you cannot. This is crazy. So we're in a time where you have to fight fire with fire, but at the same time have a bucket of water. So you have to have warriors on the front line, but you also have to have the medics in the back. So that's what I felt. That's how I feel about like having that structure. You have to have people out in the field, and you have to have people in the back end. And so for me, I used to be that person in the field. Like I said, I was going to the protests, like I was running away from the cops. I was doing all the types of stuff, right? I was really, really out there until I realized like, okay, what is my greater role? Is it really out in the field where I can get shot and killed? Or is it in the medic's office where I'm healing those people to send them back out into battle? Right? And yeah, you're right. We don't have this structure of protecting these people. But it's very necessary. It's very necessary.
Most definitely, because, you know, they say Dr. Sebi died in jail from pneumonia and all of this stuff, which I don't believe, right?
Yeah.
So let's say they did take him out. Are we going to let that happen again? You know, like, are we going to let our people keep suffering from these ailments knowing that they can be healed?
Yeah.
You know, that's the type of stuff that angers me.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, I at least want to put that out in the universe. Like, no, we need to get together and create something. Create some protection amongst the people that, you know, are really trying to do good.
Yeah. It's going to take a while for that. I'm not going to say a while. I'm not going to say a while. I don't want to put that out there. It's going to take a little time for that, though. Because, again, it's the masses that are believing in perpetuating this lie. It's going to take us a little bit to fully decolonize our minds. And when I say fully decolonize our minds, it's not just like, I believe in the healer, but I'm still going to go to their schools. I'm still going to go to their thing. And they're still right on these parts. They might be lying to you about this, but they're still right on this part, right? Now, school is shit, but I trust their hospitals. It can't be that way. It cannot. And so it's going to take us some time to fully decolonize and fully like zoom out to see like everything is a lie. And so until it gets to that point, which it is moving into that point very rapidly, thankfully. That's why I'm able to be here alive well and, you know, and have the audience I have. But it's going to take that point to where we can start, one, viewing us as like very important figures. And I believe that role is already changing. I believe like even what we have with celebrities being blocked and block this, block that, we're already realizing like, okay, the people that are in power, the people that do have this influencer tag on them, the celebrities, like that's actually not people who give us anything back at all. They actually just take from us all the time. And our ancestors had the opposite. There's celebrities where the priestess was the lady who can heal you in a sound bowl, the mushroom person over there, you know what I mean? Like the people who give back to the greater community. And that's why I believe our celebrities were back in the day. So it's like moving back to that. That's why I say the new entrepreneur is the spiritual entrepreneur. The new celebrity is the spiritual celebrity. And not just the one wearing yoga pants, going and doing whatever, eating vegan. It's like the one who is actually like serving. Like I'm here to serve. How can I serve you? How can I still be compensated and still be taken care of course, but how can I serve the greater good? And those are going to be the people that are highly touted, that are highly, you know, just favored. And but it's going to take some time for us to have that kind of like label. I don't know what it looks like. I think
it's coming though.
It's coming for sure, especially after so many of our people getting kind of, you know, just taken out. We're starting to look at it for what it is. Before it was kind of like he say, she say, oh, he fell, oh, he pneumonia, oh, this and that. But now we're coming into a time of, we're leaving the time of believing and we're entering the time of knowing. Now it's like, I know y'all up to no good. I know this is wrong. Yeah.
Just how you said in your like you were you had made a post the other day, and it was like a screen recording of your TikTok and how all the videos got like 0 plays.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well he has this many amount of followers. There has to be something at play for him to only get 0 plays on these videos. So we're coming to the understanding that all of this shit is being controlled.
For sure. I'm proud to be in this space during this time, because God knows what Sabi and them went through, or even those beforehand, what they went through. Even what's crazy is that even their own like father of medicine, right? The Hippocratic Oath, like the father of medicine, Hippocrates, even him saying the gut is the root of all healing and you have to fast to heal this and this heal that. Like even he got this type of treatment, which is crazy. How they kind of take it and they switch it around and say, we love this man. But when he was there, they killed that man, right? Like the whole Jesus thing, like, we love that guy. You killed him. Now you're using his name for this, but like, I'm glad to be in this space where we're more accepted and it's going to be an easier journey, but I still think it's a little time before we get to that part, like the militant part, for sure.
Yeah, but you know, I'm like, man, you know, we've seen this so many times throughout history, you know? And I feel like when I think about the Bible and I think about how they, you know, how can I say this? How they illustrated Jesus and, you know, his crucifixion and that, you know, nobody was there to help him or nobody was there to fight for him. You know, to me, I feel like in the Bible that was set up because it's like, all right, if Jesus didn't do anything about people, you know, putting them on the cross, then maybe we shouldn't do anything about, you know, them putting our people on the cross or them killing this person or that person. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of like, it makes us pacifists when I feel like we should fight for love. We should fight for the great things, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Do I believe killing is right for a right cause? I believe in self-defense. I'm a self-defense person. So if you bombing me,
yeah.
like I'm not gonna let that happen, right? So that exactly, like you bombing me, it's going right back to you, because I cannot allow you to do that. Like that's where I feel like our ancestors, you know, shout out to them, but I feel like that's where they went wrong, is they were a little too naive to understand that. But we're just gonna march for our this. We're just gonna talk for our this, and it's like, but you people getting slaughtered all over the place. And so now we're moving into a space where we know that, and that's why you're seeing so much stand up for people in Palestine, for people across Africa and different countries. Like you're seeing this, like people are coming out and actually going out into the streets and actually risking their livelihood, their jobs, their financial, everything for that, because we're in that time of knowing now. Now everybody's collectively waking up like, hold on. First off, it's only about 100 motherfuckers that are really running the world. It's 8 billion of us. Why are we believing them? Like, we all just turning around on them. They're just like, oh shit. That's the time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
And so luckily, I feel like with the whole protecting the healer, I feel like it's not, I don't believe their goal is to just kind of like wipe them out, how they did back in the day. You can't do that. Because the last person you did it to, Dr. Sabi, I compare it to, there's this flower that when it goes to seed and you hit it or you touch it, it explodes and the seeds go everywhere. It actually literally explodes. And whenever you get rid of somebody of influence, you get rid of a Dr. Sabi, a Malcolm, you get rid of these people, that's what happens. Their seeds now start germinating. It explodes and their influence even multiplies, right? And now you have more sprouts of that original plant. And so I feel like they know that now, and that's why you're not seeing so many healers, just because there's a lot of people who are like getting notoriety and attention who do what I do, and it's amazing. But that's why you're not seeing them getting taken out, because they understand, one, you can't stop it. It's growing too fast. They say, well, everybody's healers now. That's the new wave now, because it's growing too fast. So what is it we're just going to kill them all at one time? No, because people know now. And so their way of doing it is more so shadow banning, suppression. Let's take the attention off, because that's what this whole thing is about. It's the attention. Before, it was very easy to suppress Dr. Sabi because
no newspapers, no
exactly.
TV, no.
Take him off the TV,
radio.
take him off the newspapers, let him sell his little fucking cassette tapes or whatever, right? And it's like now it's so hard to suppress all of these natural healers that are coming out.
Yeah.
And so I believe that they know their time is up. And they're doing whatever they can to hold on, but it's just not enough. The world is moving to peace.
Do you think them trying to take away TikTok is a part of that? Them trying to scramble and get rid of the healers and stuff like that?
Not just the healers, but just community altogether. Because the dangerous part of social media that they didn't realize, we can use social media to control them, we can use internet to control them, right? They opened up a can of worms and they introduced community. Before, if you lived on a plantation, if you lived in a ghetto, if you lived into this, you stuck to that. Now you can literally have a community all over the world of thousands of people just off the base of your fingertips. And now all of y'all can come around a common ideal and fight for that ideal. That's dangerous for them, right? Because it makes community so much easier. And so, do I feel like they're just going after the healers or anything like that and the natural people? No, that's a part of it for sure, but I feel like it's community, more so just like as a whole. Because now, guess what? You do something wrong, the entire fucking billions of people on TikTok now know because they're sharing it, right? And so, as compared to, and they can't do anything about it because it's a Chinese company. So they can't bring them into this politics of what do they call this, capitalism, and bribe them and buy them out and right.
They already got their money. They got an army. You know what I'm saying?
They doing what they do, and you can't tell them. Yeah, true. Yeah, we can't tell them anything. Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, owned by the same people. Snapchat, all these different types of things. You can bribe them. You can put laws. You can do like little certain things to fuck with them, right? Or kind of like coerce them to do certain things for you. Hey, give me that information. Hey, spy on those people, right? But now you have a Chinese company that's coming over and making this wave. And they're like, damn, we barely getting money from them. We can't control them. We can't really tell them what to do that much based off of like SEC laws and stuff that they place, but that's really all that they can do. They can't really strong arm somebody who's not positioned in the United States and doesn't have that United States conditioning.
The people at the top of these companies is like the lobbyists.
Exactly.
Like the people who lobby, like the lobbyists when it comes to like what you guys were talking about, like with the Chinese companies not necessarily being able to be controlled. In America, you've got people like the NRA. You've got Google, you've got Apple, you've got Boeing. I don't know if you've seen like the Boeing documentary, what they did with that, but Boeing had the top quality product, and planes started crashing because they partnered up with another company, and they were more concerned with the speed of the manufacturing and profit margins as opposed to the quality of the product, because Boeing was based out of Seattle. Yeah. Everybody knows that's blue collar town, just like Detroit and Chicago and anything else. But when they partnered up with that other major company, I can't remember the name of them, they were more concerned with the profit margin. And the president of Boeing was now like the vice president of the company after they merged. The president of the company who was more concerned with the profit margin was the president of the whole thing. So he had the final say. And that's where stuff started going downhill in terms of the quality of the product ever since. Wow. So it's those lobbyists. But that would have been like a form of lobbying for the airline industry, because Boeing does manufacturing, or they have the planes for Southwest and Alaska Airlines and every other plane company that there is, but they have to lobby with the people on Capitol Hill in order to get certain things done.
Yep, exactly. And that's why they're not getting rid of TikTok. They said either you sell it to us, give it to America, or get the fuck out of America, because that's what's going on. Like, they want to strong arm them to do certain things, and the Chinese, even if they are trying to spy on us, even if they are trying to do whatever, the whole fact is they can't control them, so they don't like that.
Most definitely. So I believe if you believe in natural healing, you not only believe in natural healing, you believe in yourself, you believe in goodness, but you also believe in God. Why do you believe in God? Or what experience made you believe in God, if it was an experience?
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's a good question. I used to struggle with the word God, you know, because growing up, I grew up Catholic in a Catholic family. So God, the quote unquote teachings of God and what they believe God wants you to do was beaten into us for so long. And even my people over here, just the native people over here, like they were forced to their version of God, the Europeans' version of God, or the colonized version of God. And so I struggle even just with that word. I used to cringe when I hear that word God, because I would instantly tie it to this religion. But it wasn't until I was, I would say, a teenager. And that's when I started exploring what is God? Like, what is God made out of? What is God? And when you dig deep into it, God is simply love. God is simply abundance. God is simply the all, the everything, the energy that literally is feeding everything. Like the energy that makes up everything is God. And when I started to view it as that, then I started to see God in everything. But when they tried to get me to view God as being this judgmental figure, this white man with a beard or whatever might be the case, that really cares about your day-to-day things, that's when I stopped seeing God in anything. So it wasn't until I saw God as abundance and God as just simply energy and love and the love that builds everything. When I started to see God as that, I saw God in everything. That experience happened when I was in my teenage years, because I was exploring just life and death. I used to do I was like the conspiracy theorist in high school and stuff like that. I would get into a bunch of stuff like that. But death would scare me a lot. Like I would have nightmares about death. I would cry thinking about death. I would think death was literally just black forever, you know? And so I started to explore death and life more. And I started to realize, okay, God, why would you just send me to nothingness forever? You know, and then I started to ask, okay, what is God? There's no way God can be this cruel dude. There's no way it can be this judgmental guy. Like, I'm going to kick you to hell if you don't do this. And so that's when I got into Buddhism and Hinduism and all these different types of other teachings and stuff. I never became that, but I extracted the lessons from it. And everybody says the same thing. Even the Christians and the Catholics, even though they fight all the time, it's the same shit. God is just simply love. God is just simply the all, the be all, the energy that feeds everything. And so when I realized that changed my entire life, bro. I started to see God in everything and everybody. I started to have that compassion of, oh, they only know what they know, you know? Yeah, that was back in my teenage years.
Most definitely. Well, this has been a great interview. Joseph Octaviani.
Octaviani, yeah, you get it.
From Life the Plant Way.
Yes, sir.
In Gravity Films. And
Yes,
we
sir.
out.
Ah! Hey! I love that.